Welcome to We Make Children's Books, the podcast that takes you through the imaginative mind of children's book authors and artists. I'm your host, Barney Smith of StoryComic.com, and we're excited to have with us the internationally celebrated children's book author and autism awareness advocate, Nicole Latimer. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and congratulations on publishing your book. It says in there that this is going to be a one of many in a series. Is that true?
Yes, it is. This is book number 1, but book number 2, I'm almost finished writing it.
Okay.
Yes, it's very exciting. And that book 1 and 2 will be learning to sign with Rennon for the series. And I actually have another series that I want to do. And that's Rennon's Adventures, where his imagination comes to life. So I'm really excited. I have the first book of that series almost completed and ready to ship out to my illustrator and my publisher.
Wow, that's exciting stuff. So the people, some people who listen to this that might be looking at wanting to, really curious about your journey and how you started. Do you want to kind of give people a little bit of a background on how you were able to sit up and create Need a Friend, Learning to Sign with Rennon, and the inspiration behind that?
Absolutely. So Rennon is my son. He's 6 years old. And at the age of 2, he was diagnosed with ASD. And it's been quite the adventure with him to get where we are today with services and starting school. And there's been, a few struggles. So he was definitely my inspiration as to why I started this. I wanted to bring awareness about feelings, and even though he can't verbally express them, that he does have feelings, and everyone needs to be considerate of those feelings as to any child that especially can't verbalize them.
And so what made you decide to move towards wanting to do it as a children's book, some of this advocacy work?
So it did come to my attention that one day when Rennon was at school, he had a hard time transitioning from the cafeteria. And unfortunately, he had to experience some older children not being so nice to talking about him. And my other son that is in the older grades was listening in on that. I knew I had to get my word out, but that's where I wanted to make Rennon the main character. And
Right.
He is telling the stories. He is like reading to the readers or to the listeners that are sitting in. So it was just really important to make Rennon the main character, make him be heard, even though he can't be heard physically.
How quickly did it take to kind of form a book script for this?
Oh goodness, probably the day that it had happened. I was looking at him and I was so heartbroken. I was so heartbroken from the things that I have heard, that what was being said about him. And I just started writing. I just started jotting down ideas, and we do a lot of the emotions. He receives ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, services here at home twice a week. And I remember the day that we were learning with his BI that comes to the house, and we were doing the signs of sad and happy and the angry and the surprised. And I just put myself in that position of, even though he probably didn't realize what was being said, I can just imagine any other child that does, that they feel sad. And so I was just jotting down ideas, and the first thing that came to my mind was his feelings. So honestly, I wrote that book within 3 days' time.
Wow.
emotions are really important to him. He feeds off from other people's emotions. He very smart little boy. And he can tell if somebody else is sad or angry, and he'll come up to you and he'll do the face and the sign. So that's where he knows the signs. He tells me when he feels sad, angry, happy. That's where I just had to put it into a book, and that's where book number one just it was just completed just like that.
Right. And so after you put it together, what were your next steps?
I wrote the book and I joined a group, and this group has helped me tremendously. It's Alexandra Torrey's Inkers, and it's a Facebook group. And I was just, chiming in and reading everyone's comments, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm just gonna throw it out there. I need to find an illustrator. So everybody was like, oh well, giving me recommendations, and I that's where I found this brilliant lady. She's amazing. She's a really good friend. Her name is Christina, and she is the owner of Captured by Casey Designs.
Okay.
And she, right from the get go, she was like, all right, like, what's your vision? Let's bring this to life. I found her and I sent her my manuscript, and she found me GWN Publishing, and it just went from there. And
Wow.
yeah, so what I can recommend for anyone when if they want to write a book is, start go to like the small, like the groups.
Right.
This was an authors group, and of course I was thinking, oh, I just, all I have is just paper here. I can't really consider myself an author. It hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to go as far as it has. I just thought, okay, I'm just probably going to write this down, then what? So, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that think that, but I started there. And then it just, people were like, oh, I recommend this person and that person. And you really got to find the person that you really connect with. I mean, I really did not think I was going to write more than one book. I just wanted to get his feelings out on paper and like in everyday life with the feelings. But once it just started growing, I knew once I connected with Christina, and she's like, we're going to do this. I can help you. I have, resources. Because I tell you, I could not have done it without her. I
Wow.
really would not have known.
Did they also connect you up with the illustrator?
Yes. So Christina knew Vajihay
Yep.
Galmazari. She is the one that created Rennon, and she did an amazing job. Like the moment that I got sent the draft of Rennon's character, I'm like, this is it. This is him.
Mm.
And I was just so amazed with her illustrations. And I have an amazing team. I really do. I am so excited to see where what the future holds, because with Lil from GWN and Christina and Vajihi,
Mhm.
and I even have Caitlin from Big Time Media. I just have such a huge support system. And I recently just met John Masalonis from PR from the Heart,
Mm.
and he has done some PR work for me as well. So with my team, they're behind me every step of the way. They check in with me. They've helped me tremendously. I really owe them a lot.
How do you create that community of interest for your book?
Well, definitely like reach out to people.
Right.
Like I remember the first message that I sent Christina, I was like, you were recommended as an illustrator, and she does amazing design work. And I'm glad I did, because I mean, that's how I got where I am right now. But I highly recommend my illustrator. If anyone's doing a children's book, I think she does amazing work. I've seen her Instagram page, and I'm just like, you could totally tell, like, this lady has talent.
Right.
I definitely highly recommend Casey or Christina from Casey Designs, and my publisher as well.
Hmm.
I just reach out to people that can really help you and want to hear your vision. You've got to be able to tell them what you are looking for them to bring your story to life. And this is exactly what they did for me.
Right. So, where do you see yourself now as like a children's book author to say, um, so do you see yourself more, and in other words, do you see yourself more as being a children's book author or being an autism advocate when you write these books?
Well, I feel that I've always been an autism advocate. I mean, I've
Mm.
helped several young women, young mothers that have children with disabilities. I've helped them find resources. Um, I'm a very outspoken mom. I make sure that I do fight for everything that my son and all my other children also need.
Right.
As far as other books, I would always be open to that. Um, I just didn't feel like there was many books out there. Yes, there is books out there on autism and children, that struggle with disabilities. But Rennon is the reader, and I have had several people come up to me that they've never seen a children's book like that before.
Wow.
Like it
Yeah.
was right now. That's where my main focus is to get more awareness and to get the series out.
Right.
A story came to me that a lady had purchased my book, and when she had given it to her son, who is also nonverbal, and he looked at the cover of Need a Friend and he pointed at it and then pointed at himself. Like he
Hmm.
felt that connection. And I lost it. I started
Wow.
crying, and I'm like, but that's what I wanted children to know. Like there are other people out there that are just like me.
Right. And so, are you looking at are you looking at also, with this is any advice from teachers or stuff like for supplemental activity books or anything to go along with this as well?
I haven't quite reached there yet, but it's definitely possible. I know with the series of the Learning to Sign with Rennon, I want to be able to bring everything that he has been taught,
Mm,
and I want to share that. So everybody learns differently,
right.
and not probably not the way Rennon signs would be the way that another child signs. That's why it's basically like through Rennon, as he's like the teacher in the signing.
Right.
So I just it was just very important to show how Rennon reacts. And it's probably not how another child reacts or signs, but I know in future books that they will they'll be you'll see the similarities of the signing and trying to express something. And
Well, hey there. If you're enjoying our podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this show going. We love hearing from you, so any feedback is welcome. And thank you for being a part of our podcast family and for all your support. It truly means a lot to us. I'm kind of curious too, as we said at the top of the show, you have 5 children. Is there any playful banter thing? Mom, are you gonna write a book? You're gonna write a book about everybody, or is there? Or do I get a turn or anything like that happening?
yeah, so the Chris actually it's a Christmas book that I had written for the Rennon's Adventure series,
Yeah.
and my son Jackson who is the 14-year-old, he is actually a head elf
Okay.
in my story. So, and my daughter is also in that story. So, the, everybody at some point is going to be in one or both of the series.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So I would like my Christmas story to come live between October and November.
okay. All right.
So I'm really excited about that. And that's actually a rhyming Christmas story. So it's a little different than the Learning to Sign with Rennon series. And I did find myself a little bit of a tug of war for a second when I was trying to, write that book because I kept referring to Need a Friend. But I got to remember that this is his imagination. Like I can watch him play and his imagination, everything is such an adventure when he plays. It's just remarkable. So it was actually around Christmas time when I had thought of the book. And when I was watching him play, I'm like, I'm going to do a Christmas story. And so I was just so excited. So I can't wait to get that one out. But
So
yes.
when you initially wrote the script for Need a Friend, was it did you nail it the first time, or did you have people kind of proofread it or edit it and say, hey Nicole, I would change this or I'd move this, or how much help did you get through your friends that were helping you produce it?
So I actually didn't need much editing. Um, so I did find an editor in Canada,
Mm.
and I sent it to her at first, and she sent it back, and it was just a couple little edits. And then she said it was, good to go, and that's when I had sent it off to Christina, and I was surprised. I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to come back to me. I'm going to have to change this and change that. But it's almost exactly how I had wrote it. Like there wasn't like any like maybe a couple of words taken out. I probably didn't need in there, but other than
Right,
that, no changes, which I like that because it was exactly how I wanted it.
right. And so it was written out. How much say other than looking at the sketch,
Yep.
other than looking at the sketch, um, were you involved in the whole process of how the pages were laid out, or at what point did they say, "Don't worry, Nicole, we got this. This is what we do," or how much did you say, "Tweak this, do this"?
There was so much transparency with my team, and that's what I absolutely loved.
Hmm.
Christina would send me drafts of my illustrations from my illustrator, and she'd ask me, like, I want you to look this over. Let me know if you want to change anything around on the pages. Um, I looked it over and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like fantastic.
Hmm.
There was a in one of the pages where Dad is going raw and playing with Rennon. I said, well, Dad needs suspenders. Dad wears Dad wears suspenders. He's got dark hair. He's a bigger guy. I said, so we need to definitely. I want that nailed down. The illustration of Rennon with the snow globes. That's actually everything in this book is real.
Hmm.
And that's where I want to keep everything very nonfiction on the series of Learning to Sign with Rennon, because the snow globes, I'm a I'm a Christmas fanatic, and I had my snow globes out for a very long time. And he always wants to grab them, and I'm like, no, Rennon, nope, we're not touching the snow globes. And everything to his beanie bears, with him lining them up on the couch, everything. When he cries, when he sees a sad story, a movie that he watches. And, it's funny because the illustrator, well, Christina had asked me, what did I want in the TV screen on that one page of the illustration? And I said, well, he really cries at the end of our Frozen 2 when Olaf melts. But of
Yeah.
course, I'm thinking we probably can't have the actual Olaf character. So I'm like, put a snowman in there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so everything, like they were very transparent, asking me what I wanted to change. Are you sure? Do you want to look this over again? And it was just to the point, I mean, I just trust them so much. I'm like, you guys know me by now. Like, with colors and everything, and um the character in the beginning at the chalkboard with Rennon actually resembles his BI, his behavioral interventionist at his school,
Cool.
and her name is Miss Meg. So I had asked Christina if she could please have shoulder length brown hair, kind of on the thin side. Well, not kind of, sorry, thin side. And so because she's with him all day long, so I
Mm.
wanted, I wanted to make the characteristics as close as possible. So, but yeah, they did an amazing job.
Wow. So are you kind of on a roll here, Nicole? So are you?
I
Do
am.
you have kind of like a schedule of you want to make sure you put out at least one book a year, 2 books a year? How is this working for you?
My goal is 2 books a year,
Okay.
and but need a friend. That was the one to get me started.
Mm.
I'm doing 2 books a year starting now.
Oh wow.
So even though Need a Friend was out in January, I'm gonna do what I want to do a book for each series. So there will be a book out this year, second book for the Learning to Sign with Rennon, and there will be a first book October, November for Rennon's Adventures.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
my goal.
Wow. Okay. And so feel like I guess from a planning perspective, there is going to be a point where Brennan's going to you'll be like 10, 11. Like, is he going to be aging in the book, or is he going to stay in the perpetual 5-year-old?
No, he will be aging.
Oh,
And
really? Okay.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
he will be aging, and his life will be like documented in the Learning to Sign with Rennon story. So the second book for the Learning to Sign with Rennon series is Time to Go to School.
Okay.
So that's the second book that is almost completed.
So for your other book series, is it the same illustrator, or are you going with a different illustrator?
Oh no, I'm sticking with my team.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I already told them they're very well much stuck with me,
Right.
and so no, I started this journey with them. I plan on continuing it until I can't no more, and I like I said, I wouldn't be here without them. I absolutely love Rennon's character, and like everything about his picture. Like, I mean, I can show him the cover, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And he'll sign. We do this as an R, like
Yeah.
Rennon,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Yeah, that's right, it's you."
Yeah.
So, no, I absolutely love how they created him.
Right.
I'm gonna stick with them.
And are all of them going to be as you say, like your other series? Are they all you're going to continue with that rhyming pattern as well?
Well, we'll see. The rhyming thing, you kind of like put yourself to the test when you're like, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So uh, the other book for the series, the Christmas book, I had to. Now that's a different story. I had to go back quite a few times and do drafts and I was showing a friend and she's like, how can you even read this? I'm like, I can't. It looks like a complete mess, but I know exactly. I mean, I got like arrows that say, okay, like 4 pages in, and somebody else would not have a clue how to read that. But I'm just like, no, page one, and then page two is probably like 18 pages back. So,
Right.
I get so excited because it's remarkable. I really thought that I was gonna probably just write one book and be done.
Mm.
And then when I had spoke to Lil from GWN, and she had wrote me in an email, and she's like, "You have more than just a book here. You have a business."
And then part of the publishing house, they help you with with these social media posts here as well, or?
Yes, and Kate from Big Time Media,
Mm,
she collaborated with Christina, and
okay.
Rennon has his own Instagram page, and they help monitor that, and they help. I've not really been a big Instagram person before now, and I mean I try to get on there, and I'm like, I can't figure this thing out. I don't understand what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And thank goodness that they took the reins and got it going. And um, yeah, so I post as much as I can. I like to
Yeah.
post about his real life, like when he goes to the doctors, and show people like how he is and who he is. And
Based off of the impetus of the reason why you did this, how's his Brendan doing in school now? How are his classmates?
wonderful with him.
Mm,
And I had talked to his teacher, and she said that he's such a joy to have in class. And when he's
right.
not there due to not feeling well, or some days are off and wanting to go to school, the motivation,
Mm,
they say that his friends miss him,
right.
and he is a joy to have in class.
Yeah.
But he has a really great support team at the
Mm.
school. It's one of the best teams that he has ever had.
So, what would you give for tips for people that are wanting to write their first children's book?
Well, find an inspiration. Because if I had to sit here right now and think, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to write a book about a squirrel. I, yeah, I probably could come up with some really cool things about the squirrel, but you really do need that inspiration of what do you want your readers to know about the squirrel.
Mm.
So it's you gotta find, you like. I'm just like, yeah, like even just talking about a squirrel right now, I have nothing. Like it's completely like blank. So that's where it's like Renan was my inspiration.
Right.
My other four children, they're amazing, and I can write books about them. I think it's that I live it every day,
Mm.
right? So I'm taking my experience that I live every day, and I'm putting it in a book.
Right.
And he's the real superstar. I'm just the lady behind the pen. He's
Right.
the one that lives every day with, his struggles and his emotions. And I'm telling you, he's my heart right there.
Right.
And, so you got to find your inspiration and just start jotting it down. Like I bring my notebook everywhere. I could be at a red light and something comes to my mind. And I'm like, okay, or like, oh, where's my book? But yeah, just find your inspiration, and if you got something to say and you want to say it, put it down and
Right.
say.
So
I didn't know if
write
people were
what you
gonna
know.
take my book and go with it, and they did.
Right. That's great. So if people are interested in buying the book, where can they find the book?
It is available online at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and Walmart.com.
Okay.
I check, periodically, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's in China, it's in Brazil, it's in Australia. It's like, oh my gosh, like I did not expect this. And and I get emails when someone does buy, a book from where, and I'm like, I just sold a book in Brazil. What? Like this is fantastic. I just, or in Canada even. And wow, I just thought like I was going to donate to like the local library and schools. Like
Right.
I didn't really know all this, but it's fantastic. It really it's a thrill to see that my book is in the hands of children all over. All
Right.
over.
Right.
And there's going to be plenty more.
Right. Well, congratulations, Nicole.
Thank you.
I'm so excited, and you're going to have to come back on when you talk
Yes.
about Rennon's adventures. You're going to have to come back on and we'll have to talk about that book too.